Good evening, I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Weather Impact Team, and we're tracking some colder air that is moving into our area, and we have some wind that's whipping up out there, and that wind is bringing in that colder air coming in from the north and west. Now, this morning, we started off with clouds and some fog and even some areas of mist and drizzle and a couple of spotty showers. The rain and the wet part of that moved out pretty quickly. We saw the clouds breaking up with some sunshine returning. But if you'll remember yesterday, if you were watching us during our regular newscast, we were telling you that the high temperature of the day for today would be occurring right around or just after lunchtime. And then look what happened here. This is for the past 12 hours. You can see at lunchtime at noon, it was 71 degrees. We got up to 73, and between 1 and 2, we actually popped up to 74 degrees for our high temperature today. So right after lunch, that's when we hit our high. Normally we hit our high around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We hit it a little bit earlier today. After that, that's when the front moved in, and you may have noticed those winds that were kicking up out there for the afternoon hours, and that was the beginning of that colder air that we're experiencing right now that was moving in. So take a look at these temperatures once that front moved through. Once we got to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we moved down to the upper 60s, and then quickly down to 64 at 5, 60 at 6. Then this evening, we have been falling through the 50s, and we're going to start off tomorrow morning moving down to around 40 degrees. It's going to be a rather chilly start to the day. So here's what we're watching with the weather impacts from this front that is moving through. Yes, it is windy, and yes, it is going to get colder. We've been experiencing wind gusts today between 20 and 30 miles an hour. At one point, though, we actually did have our peak wind gust today. That was 36 miles an hour. With that northwesterly flow and with those strong winds, we're seeing those temperatures really falling. Now, here's the deal. The wind will die down a little bit. Now, it's not going to totally be calm, but it's just not going to be as blustery overnight and in the morning. It's just going to be rather breezy in the morning hours. Then the wind is going to kick up again here tomorrow afternoon. And with that, we're expecting winds between 25 and 35 mile an hour wind gusts there. And with temperatures in the 50s tomorrow afternoon, that's going to feel even colder. So here's a look at what we're watching out there right now. We had the rain and moisture around this morning. This is a 12-hour loop after that rain already had pushed out. And at times, we saw a couple of clouds mixing in with the sunshine here and there, but no rain fell after the morning hours. Nothing else is really moving into our area. The only thing we're watching here is behind that front, the winds coming in from the north and west, and behind this cold front, yes, we do have some colder air that is pushing into our area. So here's a live look outside right now. This is our tower cam that we're watching at this hour on Arizona Avenue. That's just over the DeKalb County line, getting closer to Decatur. We're looking toward the west, and you can see the city of Atlanta looking really beautiful out there right now. Earlier, this camera was shaking a little bit because those winds were so gusty. Again, it's still breezy out there right now, but not as gusty as it was just a little bit earlier. So this is what I want you to be aware of with the weather impacts during the day tomorrow. We're going to narrow down the time frame of when it is going to be the windiest during the day tomorrow. We're thinking that's going to be between 11 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when we'll see some of those winds that are going to be gusting. And we're talking about those wind gusts that'll be between 25 and 35 miles an hour tomorrow. So what you need to do tomorrow, definitely bundle up. Be prepared for this colder air that we're going to have in our area. You'll want a jacket. It may be cool enough for some of you to maybe have a hat or a scarf out there, not only to protect you from the colder air, but also the windy conditions that we're having out there too. This wind is going to bring down a lot of leaves. I don't know if you like to just let your leaves pile up on the ground and then clean them up all at once after the season, or if you like to do a lot of cleanings or mulchings there multiple times, just a little bit at a time. Well, we're going to have your work cut out for you out there for tomorrow because we're going to see a lot of the leaves coming down off of the trees. Take a look at the wind speed right now. Now, these are not the wind gusts. These are the actual sustained winds that we're talking about right now. 13-mile-an-hour winds here in Atlanta, 16-mile-an-hour winds in Duluth, 13-mile-an-hour winds in Covington. Up in northeast Georgia, we have 18-mile-an-hour winds there. Here is a look at the wind gusts. Now that's when you have that sustained wind that's blowing, and occasionally you'll see a swoosh of wind that is a little bit stronger. Those are the wind gusts. And right now in Atlanta, we're talking about 22-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Those gusts are higher in the mountains, 39-mile-an-hour wind gusts in the Clayton area, and in those highest elevation, those winds are just a little bit stronger. So let's walk you through what we expect by tomorrow morning. Again, it's going to be breezy, but just not as blustery in the morning as we've been dealing with late afternoon into the early evening, and then overnight calms down just a little bit. And then as we get to around 11 o'clock in the morning, those winds start ramping up again. And then look what happens in the afternoon. Look at all of the red and orange. That's indicating wind gusts, as I mentioned, between 25 and 35 miles an hour. Once we get to around 2:30 in the afternoon, wind gusts in Atlanta around 34 miles an hour, as well as in Duluth. Gainesville, maybe 36 miles an hour, 37-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Blairsville and in Clayton. Peachtree City, 32-mile-an-hour winds. So we're really thinking that that's going to be the time frame there in the mid-afternoon, most likely 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when those winds will be stronger. And like tonight, once we get into the evening hours, again, it's not going to go away, but at least the winds start coming down just a little bit. Getting into Friday morning, it is going to be cold with temperatures around 36 degrees. Not crazy wind, but enough wind to give us a wind chill that will make it feel like it is in the 20s here on your Friday morning. And again, those winds kind of just breezy there during the day on Friday as well with those cold temperatures. Now, right now, we are 10 degrees colder than we were at this time last night. In Rome, it is 15 degrees colder than it was this time last night, 17 degrees colder than it was just 24 hours ago up in Dalton. If you'll remember, last night we had kind of the mild air around some of the rain that we had. It was pretty humid out there too. So here's a look at what we're watching with the forecast track. These are the actual air temperatures, not the wind chill. This is the actual air temperature that we're forecasting by tomorrow morning. We're thinking in Atlanta, will be around 40 to 41 degrees to start the day in the morning at about 7 o'clock. That's usually when we have our lowest temperature of the day, close to sunrise there. Notice, though, outside the city, we do have areas in the 30s like Duluth, Covington, Marietta, Gainesville, right around 39, 38. In Peachtree City, Carrollton, 35, Athens, 39 degrees. And then we move up to around 50 degrees at lunchtime, topping off 53 to 55 in the afternoon. And that's going to be trending below the average. And again, with that wind, these temperatures in the 50s are going to feel more like it's in the 40s here for those afternoon hours. Then Thursday night at 11 o'clock, near midnight, we'll be in the lower 40s, and then dropping even more with those temperatures Thursday morning. These are the air temperatures, 34 to 36 degrees, maybe even around freezing or just below freezing, like maybe freezing at Peachtree City, Marietta, Athens, and Gainesville, even 20s in Blairsville, Clayton, and Carrollton. Again, these are not these are the wind chills here of what it's going to feel like early on your Thursday morning when you factor in the wind. And then in the afternoon Thursday, feeling more like it's in the 50s here. So this is, again, Thursday evening. And then look at this, getting into Friday. How about these wind chills? This will be how it feels to you. Feeling like 27 on Friday morning, 26 in Duluth, 27 in Gainesville, 25 in Canton, and maybe even feeling like 20 and 22 in Blairsville and Clayton before those wind chills start trying to get a little better here into the afternoon on Friday. So here's how to plan out the day here for your Thursday. A very chilly start at 40 degrees in the city. As I showed you, those 30s in the outlying areas. We're going to have a lot of sunshine during the day, but as I mentioned there, between 11 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that is the time frame where those winds will be strongest, between 25 and 35 mile an hour wind gusts. Highs struggling to get up to 55 degrees, but remember, it'll feel like it's in the 40s thanks to those winds, and it's going to get cold again moving into your Friday morning. Take a look at the forecast track. Not a lot showing up here weather-wise as far as clouds or as far as any rain moving in. Notice the arrows, though, coming out of the north and west. That is that wind. That is that cooler flow that's going to be pushing into our area. Look at the time frame, and you'll notice here at 5 o'clock on Thursday, still breezy, still plenty of sunshine around. we are going to have to watch early on Friday morning a little bit of moisture with that cold air up in the mountains of North Carolina and maybe extending into the highest elevations of far north Georgia. In North Georgia mountains, maybe shaking out a couple of flurries. What happens is with this cold air coming here, it's just going to wring out any additional moisture that we have in our atmosphere, and that could be in the form of just a few flurries in the highest elevations of northeast Georgia. But look at the mountains of North Carolina. Those highest elevations, and over right there into East Tennessee, like Gatlinburg, up toward Boone, North Carolina, and those areas there near Sugar Mountain and Beech Mountain, they could have some accumulating snow. This will be the first good snow, I think, of the season there, with some of those accumulations occurring. It won't last a long time, though. And again, we don't think in North Georgia, if there are any flurries at all, that it's going to cause any issues there. But we just still have that northwest flow on Friday, going to be cold. Saturday, mostly sunny skies, maybe a couple of clouds mixing in here and there. And then as we go into Saturday evening, again, not too bad, plenty of sunshine around. Temperatures trying to moderate a little bit. We'll be in the upper 50s Saturday. We do return to the 60s once we get into Sunday. So here's that cold blast that we're talking about. We've been talking about this for the past couple of days. Notice the blue right here. That's extended down into Macon. So that colder air, the leading edge of that colder air behind the front is moving down into central Georgia. We've been experiencing that change of temperatures throughout the afternoon and through the evening hours here. But that cold air is not finished with us yet. It's just going to settle in on us over the next couple of days. It's not going to be one of those cold snaps that last just one day or half a day or anything like that. It's going to be rather chilly here, not only for Thursday, but even colder on Friday, where I mentioned those lows Friday morning in the mid-30s with wind chills in the 20s. Saturday, another cold start, but then that colder air starts to retreat a little bit. Now, it doesn't get hot on Sunday, but it's just going to slowly start warming up a little bit more on Sunday, with our highs going back into the 60s. And then for the beginning of next week, we're talking about mid and upper 60s around. Something we're watching, though, as we get into next week, another little surge of cold air tries to make it in here. We don't think this one is going to move as far south, maybe just slightly cooler as we get a little bit closer to Thanksgiving. But something else we have to watch for Thanksgiving is the potential that there may be a few showers moving in. I'll show you more on that here in just a second. But let's take a look at those low temperatures. 40 for a low Thursday morning. Friday morning we start at 36, 38 on Saturday, 39 Sunday, and then Monday's lows start moderating a little bit with morning temperatures in the mid-40s, and then high temperatures below average. We should see our highs around 63 degrees for this time of year. That would be the norm for getting closer to the end of November. We're going to be at 55 tomorrow, then 51 on Friday, 57 Saturday. We get back to near or a little above average on Sunday at 65, and then near 70 going into Monday. Here is the extended model of what we're watching on Sunday. Again, no rain around here in our area. It'll be a dry day. Going into Monday, it'll be mostly sunny to partly cloudy early on. Overnight Monday into early Tuesday, there could be a couple of showers that try to move through our area. I think those rain chances will be on the lower end. Right now, we're calling for just about a 20% chance for a shower. We may fine-tune those percentages as the system gets closer to us. And then drying out for Wednesday with partly cloudy skies. This model stops, again, right before we get to Thursday, and Thursday is Thanksgiving. We're going to be watching a system, and I've been really keeping an eye on this in the models. The trends have been showing some rain moving in on Thanksgiving Day. Now, it's not a given that we're going to see that, but that's what the trends have been showing, and they've been pretty consistent with that. So we're going to be watching that, fine-tuning that as we go through the next few days and into next week to see if that rain chance will materialize for Thanksgiving Day. And we'll also try to break down the timing for you a little bit more for that potential for a few showers on Thanksgiving Day. But of course, we'll have more on that for you as we get closer to it. So here's our 7-day forecast. Let me get back to that really quick, the 7-day. So you can see those temperatures that are very chilly. 55 for high tomorrow, then those morning lows in the 30s Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Afternoon highs 50s Friday and Saturday. Sunday, we're up to 65 degrees, near 70 on Monday, and then back to the mid and lower 60s here Tuesday and Wednesday. Low rain chance on Tuesday, and then Wednesday looks dry before we have potentially another rain chance here moving into Thanksgiving Day. Be sure to watch us right here on 11 Alive and 11 Alive Plus for more weather updates.